Okay. I support the fat acceptance movement, and whatever you feel about that movement is up to you. But I am going to talk about the surface of what people assume, okay? There's a lot of things. Fat acceptance movement exists because of most fatter women and occasional men of judgment for their fat bodies, okay? It has always been that fat women are ugly. That's a huge part about our society for centuries. Our society, for so long, had always had an expectation on women's appearance, okay? There's no way for you to say, like, we know, we've seen this, okay? With the movement, I would say, stay in your lane. How that person experiences it, that's what's happening with them. What the movement exists started with a problem of shame of mostly women's bodies. So also, you're gonna see that you're gonna see that fat acceptance is it glorifies unhealth, okay? But the biggest part about the fat acceptance is that you don't have the right to judge a person's body in any way. You just don't do that. Well, I mean, you do that all the time, but that's judgment that you have no you have no I mean, you have a right. It's the right. The free. You have right. It is this. Okay, I had a brain surgery in 2018. My speech has never been the same. Right. You have free speech. Okay, that's what I meant. You have the right to speak in any way. But you are going to be receiving consequences. You're going to be debated, which I am going to get right now. If anybody sees this, I have no subscribers, But this is. You have no awareness of that person's life. For you to go, even if you have a friend and they're fat, and you're like, well, I know them, so I could tell them that the fat acceptance movement is unhealthy. You actually don't know how hard or unhealthy their life is, and you don't know what causes are. Okay? Sorry, I have shaky hands. So that's gonna happen here too. You have no clue what their health history. You just don't. So to assume that they are unhealthy because they are fat is shallow and embarrassing for you to think that. And to color their experience. You're projecting yourself about their health with yours. So if you're going to say, "Oh, I was fat. I lost weight. So I've been there." Okay. But you didn't experience what their life is. Okay? There are so many causes for fat, and there are causes that you would never help it. Okay? There's no way for you to say you shouldn't do this unless you're going to provide it. Now, what I mean by this is also finances. It is expensive. Okay, it's expensive to get healthy food. You know that. If things are organic, it's more expensive. It is always, you're gonna look at fast food. It's always gonna be cheaper than making it yourself. It is. So when you're telling people like, "Oh, you need to stop eating junk food," then I'm like, well, why don't you buy their produce? Why don't you do that? Oh, but wait, hold on. So you're not going to pay for their food? And don't say a damn thing. You have no right to say that. And also, for their food, you realize that all of those produce, that has to be prepared. Which means it takes time. Which means that it can take it takes time and effort. And right now, our federal wage is $7.25 in America. So while you're doing this, we have a lot of people who have 2 jobs. How the hell are they going to add more energy towards being healthy in which they can't afford? They can't afford the money. They can't afford the time. If you're wanting them to be more healthy, give them a better wage so that they can keep a single job, so that they don't have 2 jobs or more. Don't start shaming them while you're never going to do anything to help them. Because I'm talking about finances alone. I hate this. This is already taking time. And of course, this is important about women. We've shamed men for so long. The expectations on female appearance is still going on, okay? We're trying to fix it in a lot of different ways, yeah. But I would say none of us would say that it's perfect right now. So when you're talking about fat acceptance movement and that it's a problem, you're probably going to end up talking morely to women, because it is not as expected towards men as strongly than women. For so long, they always had less models of men than women. I mean, then we can go to the whole thing about why pants don't have pockets of women so that they could sell purses, right? That's a whole thing, you know? Okay. Alright, we're also going to talk about genes that you're not aware of. There are genes for things that you can't change. Oh, wow. I'm 5'6", and I'm not going to be able to change that. I have blue eyes. I'm not going to be able to change that. I was raised from rather thin people, so I would be genetically rather thin. So you have nothing to change with that. I'm just talking about the body. There's a lot of ways you can change your body. But again, it is your own body that you can do. You can't do that to somebody else's. Then that's just... it's not even rude, it's illegal for you to do that. For you to change people's bodies. You can only do that to yourself. And, right now, I am somewhat fat. Okay? But you cannot affect my body. You can't. Unless you want to provide me, until you provide me fresh produce and you prepare it for me. Because I don't want to do that. And, why does it affect you that my body is fat? Why? I'm at the doctor's all the time, dude. I'm there all the time because I'm sexually active. Okay. Alright, so the way you feel about fat acceptance movement is up to you. I've not had problems with it, for me. Maybe I haven't spoken to the leaders of the movement, but whether the way you view it or believe it, that's up to you. So I'm gonna support that movement. And I'm gonna stay in my lane. Because if I go over to somebody and I'm like, oh, they're a little fat, you know, that's huge. They are obese. And that, they're unhealthy. You give no shits, dude. You give no shits. You care about their appearance. Because if you saw with someone with, oh my god. No, I don't even know what all to say. You don't actually want their health. You want them to appear thinner to you. That is what you're doing. That, because if it was about their health, you probably would have looked if, they had let you know that, like, they have asthma, or now they have cancer. Then you're like, well, I must change them in a lot of ways. There's no stuff that you can do to that. You could say, like, oh, asthma, there's ways to do exercise that's better for your lungs, My God. Okay, nobody's gonna see this. If they do, well, surprise, you're gonna be looking to causes that you wouldn't expect because they're shallow, because these are deeper than the surface than you're familiar with. We're also going to talk about stress, okay? Stress affects so much to your body and your mind. We're dealing with mental issues, and you can look into a lot of these things that stress really messes it up, okay? Of course, that's going to be finances again. With that and physical stress, that's going to change it too. And fitness, that takes time. You're going to assume and expect them, fat people, to exercise. And I'm like, well, then you're going to pay for it, right? You're going to pay for that, right? Because what you want is for them to be less fat, to appear that to you. And if you're going to do that, you're going to pay for it, right? Because that's what it is. And if you want them to have more exercise, you're going to need to provide them more time, which means time is money, correct? So go ahead and pay for them, okay? Exercise can be different for so many different problems, causes, or points, areas of the body that you're looking for. And I keep saying this, stay in your lane, because you actually aren't going to help them. You're not going to do that. You don't care, dude. You don't care how their health is. You just want them to appear in a different way that you would like them to look like. I'm aware and familiar with my health. I'm at the doctor. I'm at Planned Parenthood every month, okay? I'm getting weighed all the time, and I'm fine with that. I'm also mental in a lot of ways, so I get weighed as well for when I go to the psychiatrist. They're going to weigh that as well, because I'm taking a lot of medications, okay? And a psychiatrist should probably, psychiatrists are very experienced in the mental health, right? So for them to go ahead and say, I would say that you're probably depressed because you're fat, and because you're fat, people are rude to you. And I'm like, that hasn't happened to me, because that would be different. I would change to a psychiatrist. Because that wouldn't actually be about my fat body. It would be for the bullying, right? So So if that's the case, you only want to for them to focus on your mind. And when you're doing that, you can look and see possible causes and to be like, okay, well, how do you feel about, let's see about what could really affect that area of your life. There's a lot of stuff behind that, right? What age, of adults are like not that stressed, you know what I mean? Um, right now, this country is like so cheap. People are so poor. And that is one of the biggest stressor for decades, dude. So, and I'm gonna say that when you judge and expect fat people to lose weight, that's a stressor for them, and they're likely going to gain more weight from the shame and the feeling of judgment. Okay? You're gonna make it worse. You are gonna make it worse, okay? And if you actually don't get to advise them. If you want, okay. If it's rude to advise somebody that they're not asking for. So wait until they ask you, if I'm having a problem, like I said, I'm a little fat. There are ways that I am unhealthy, but you are not familiar with my health, so you don't get to do that. And so if I will ask you if you've got advices. So advice for me to get a little healthier. I'll ask that, okay? And I'll accept advisement, okay? Once again, you cannot force a person to change. Now I look like I've got a virus and I'm thirsty. That's all. The fat acceptance movement is also majorly for women's bodies accepted, okay? If we even go to the porn industry, and it's going to be the majority is going to be thinner women and other areas of the bodies, okay? It is part of the body shaming that we've done for decades, centuries, all right? Women are expected to be pleasing to men. And it's also really weird. It's interesting, right? Because in so many animals that the males are to be they're to be court, they are to be dance and such, they're to be looking what they want, more pretty, things like that. And it's the opposite for humans for so long. That's why we started with makeup in the first place, correct? And that women we're always going to have to please men for that long. Because women, where are they going to do that? They were not going to have a job. So, God, it's been 30 minutes. My God. So yes, when you're stressing out, fat people, you're gonna get them gain more weight. You're ruining it, dude. That stress, that addition for their stressors, you're ruining it, dude. And you're probably going to, the judgment of that, they're not gonna really feel very trusting of you. Let's say medical doctors, they do rather shame fat patients, and they assume their weight over the concerns that patients are speaking about, okay? So, I had a friend who was fat their whole life. It's genetic for them. And they're familiar with their body and with their health. At one point, they were bending over to pick up a heavy box of just papers, okay? When they did, they bent incorrectly. One of the spine plates had, it's been years, I haven't remembered exactly what happened. I would feel like it was a hernia moved out of place. And it was almost, it seemed like it was the incorrect bend than the weight. Because you could look at anybody and be like, oh, look, they did not bend their knees, they actually bent their back, correct? That would be for any type of family. I'm sorry, any type of body. Like I said, my speech is not perfect. The body, could anything happen to that, okay? But when she went, damn it, sorry, yes, she's a girl. When she did go to the doctor, he did not recommend any type of chiropractic. There's no recommendation for the joint of her spine. I don't even remember if they recommended an X-ray. I don't even remember if he accepted that. Her concern was for her spine, and what he did was he recommended her to lose her weight. But it's the fucking spine, okay? What the hell is that gonna do? With her losing weight, how is that going to put that plate back in her spine correctly? That's not gonna happen, dude. So there are times when having heavier weight can be a factor, but the patients are coming to the doctor for the problems that they're new with, and it's something that doesn't feel good, that they're trying to explain their concerns. and then just throw it away and just speak about their weight. That is like, that's, you're gonna have to look into, like, you're gonna have to look into the joints. You're gonna have to go look into each system that they're referring to, and the stressors can be completely different. There's no way to just assume that it is their weight. You're like missing the point. You're ignoring the patients. And so now, if that's gonna happen, why would they go to another doctor who's just gonna say it's a weight problem? If that's the case, they're gonna go to the doctor less, because they're gonna assume that they're gonna tell them to lose weight again. They're not gonna get any health care. They're just not. You have to trust doctors who accepts their weight and sees into multiple factors. And if there is an obese person, you don't have the right to judge them for that too. If they're just gonna eat junk food, whether they're wealthy or not, that's also not something that you can change or force them to do. I still don't see why their body affects you. Physically, they're not doing anything to you. Once again, you just want to see them look different to you. Irritating. This is so long of a video. And I haven't been taking a video for YouTube in years. God. I'm still playing the video games that I love. Stressors affect me, okay? I'm a picker. I will pick a lot of things. So the more public, one of my more public picking is my lips, okay? I pick the skin here, and so it is very apparent. It is very, very public. You can see it. When people hold my hands over there, or they say to me, stop picking, it adds me more stress, because I feel shame. I feel ashamed of it, and feeling that I'm judged. And I'm aware that it's bad. I know that ripping off your skin is not healthy, but to speak about it to me and tell me, like, stop, it doesn't feel, it just feels bad. Like I'm a failure, and that I'm doing something really bad, and that this is shameful. It feels like that. So if somebody wanted me to pick less, first of all, it would help for you to not say things like that. I'm I'm on medications. I'm still seeing my psychiatrist. There's a lot of things going on into it, okay? And if I wanted advice, I would ask. Please wait until I'm ready for it. So occasionally I do ask them, and I'll be like, okay, what should I do to change that? Also, there's no guarantee that I'm going to pick less. It's OCD. I have OCD. And that kind of thing can happen to your body as well. When you're changing your diet, when you're lowering your stress, and you are exercising a little or a lot, you possibly may not even lose very much weight. And then when they're doing this, a fat person is doing this, and you don't see it, a lot of people judge that person as a failure, even while they are doing all the correct things that they're expected to do. Once again, there are genes that they can't really affect. Just don't judge them, okay? When I'm fat and I have goals and awareness about my body and my health, you can't see it. But if I want advice, I would ask. If not, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. You only want me to appear a different way. There's no way for me to be like, well, okay, they expect me to be that type of way, and they're not really providing me a way to do it. Because what if I'm still having 2 jobs? What if I'm very poor? What if I cannot go to the grocery store? There's a lot of different factors. This is always it's never that shallow. If you want me to look thinner, then you need to afford me time, which means you can afford me to pay rent, possibly, pay for food. And you also, if you're gonna expect me to appear different, then you would also have to prepare me food. And if you're gonna talk about that, then you better be experienced in health, right? You better be a nutritionist, right? You just don't have the right, dude. You don't. How it experienced to you, that happened with your life, and it's going to take your own force to change it. But it's my body, and if you want me to change it, and if I accept it, provide me for the means to change. Pay for it. Okay? And once again, am I to please you? No. I don't care to please you. There's a lot of things that I wouldn't do for free. So it doesn't help me. At that point, does it even matter what I appear to you? Do I want to please you? No. And then you're gonna go over here on the internet. People are just judge the shit out of fat people. Just call them ugly. And I'm like, go show me your picture right fucking now. Show me your body right now. And then why don't you tell me how healthy you are? What did you eat today? What did you work out? Did you, I mean, how about your teeth? Does that matter too? Look, this is never just a surface, okay? You don't have the right, and you're losing friendships. I can see why. I could understand